So I have a kind of unique background in coming to the law. I started my professional life as a social worker. I got a degree from UT in social work, and I spent 2 years as a therapeutic counselor at a wilderness camping program in East Texas, where we chopped down trees and skinned poles and lived out in the woods with behaviorally challenged children, girls. Then I went back to school, started actually while I was still out there by kerosene. I know, it sounds like Lincoln, but a master's in special ed. I worked for a year as a residential treatment, at a residential treatment facility as a case manager. Went back to school again, got a master's in social work so I could do counseling, and went back to work for the original agency I had worked for that had the camp out in the woods as a counselor, where the parents had to agree to participate in family counseling for their kids to be in the program. And I did that for 9 years in the Dallas area. While I was in that position doing family counseling, I was often subpoenaed to come to court by arrogant attorneys who didn't even have the courtesy often to talk to me to find out what I had to say without trying to screw up my good therapy. So I made up my mind that I would try to learn what the law was to see if I could do it differently. And if I was going to turn my life upside down, then I might as well live in a different place. So off I went to Virginia to study law. I think I always wanted to do family law because it just kind of made sense, given my background. I wanted to find a way to help people get divorced if they wanted to get divorced and not screw up their kids. That was 25 years ago. I can't say I've accomplished that goal. I think I found some ways. I think I have some skills that will assist people to choose a different path in how to dissolve their families, but it requires people willing to do that and people willing to put their kids' interest ahead of their own. I've done volunteer work. I did some mental health rescue work with the Red Cross during a couple of hurricanes in the Caribbean. I served on the Red Cross board when we were in Virginia. I've served on my local school board for 9 years now, and I think all of those experiences bring me to a different place to offer perhaps a different perspective from the normal family law person who doesn't come from those backgrounds. I've been accused of not sounding like an attorney. I've been accused of asking questions that people didn't expect an attorney to ask, such as, what kind of relationship do you want to have with this person 5 years from now? That cause people to think perhaps differently and ask themselves those questions. I strongly suggest to people, if they are ambivalent, to do whatever they need to do to decide that they've done what they could do and need to go forward. And I think the best example I can give of that is that if you are looking backwards and still trying to walk forwards, you're going to hit a tree, fall in a hole, hurt yourself, hurt someone else. And so if you're not ready to turn your head around, then do whatever you need to do to make peace with that you've done whatever you could do, and this is the choice you've made, and how do you do this in the least harmful way possible. I would say my goal in any family that I work with is to do the least amount of harm and help people be in a situation where there is a next chapter, and they can go forward and still have productive lives and have kids who have productive lives who aren't irretrievably scarred. If you have kids, you cannot afford to make a mortal enemy of the other parent. You just can't. There are, and the younger the child is, the more crucial that is. And even for your older children, because you don't want to put your kids in a position where they've got to decide who to invite to law school graduation. I can't tell you how many of my classmates, because I was an older student, really agonized because they were afraid that somebody was going to cause a scene at their graduation, and how sad that is. Who's going to be at the wedding, whether the christening or bar mitzvah. What's going to happen for the rest of these children's lives if you cannot find a way to conduct yourself in public with that other person present in a way that doesn't embarrass you and the kids? And it starts with the way you get divorced. And how you get divorced makes a huge difference in how things go from then on. And so I knew that as a counselor, and that was reaffirmed as an attorney, that how you get divorced and who you choose to guide you on that path determines in a large part where you end up.